Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and welcome to a Game Week 10 episode of Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid. Now, you guys may have noticed I am wearing my glasses. Unfortunately, I did have a small eye injury where I scratched my eye yesterday, which meant I couldn't make a video yesterday, which is why this Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid video is delayed. But it also means I'm going to have to let my eyes recover a little bit. Usually I wear contact lenses, but I'm going to let them breathe. I'm going to wear the glasses just for a couple of days. So hopefully that doesn't impact the content quality too much, but you never know. You always get a few comments whenever you change up the style a little bit, don't you? But there we go, guys. We are going to talk all about transfers and kind of what kind of transfer moves we should be thinking about making, what kind of trends we want to join in on, which kind of bandwagons we might want to avoid, that kind of thing. So yeah, hopefully you are going to enjoy this one. If you do, please do leave a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, we are aiming to get 100,000 subscribers within the next month or so. Please help me out. Please do subscribe. I would really appreciate that, guys. And of course, this video is, as usual, sponsored by OneFootball. For those of you who don't know what OneFootball is, it's a great app/website for all things football. Whether you're checking out the scores, whether you're checking out the lineups, or whether you're just trying to check out some of the statistics as well, whether you're watching the game or you want to find out a little bit about games that you're not watching, this is the perfect app/website for you that has it all. Also got loads of good transfer news, gossip on there as well if you're into that kind of thing. It's just your home base for all things football, really. So I really like it, completely free, really do recommend it, guys, and you can download that for free using the link in my description. Go for it, why not? So on the rules, buys are players you probably don't have but should consider bringing in, sells are players you probably have but should consider removing, keeps are players that you probably have and might think about removing them. I think you should actually keep them. Avoids, finally, are players who are pretty hyped up right now and I think you should actually avoid them. So there we go. I'm sure a lot of you guys do know the kind of premise of this video right now, but it's always nice to rehash over it for our new viewers. So let's get on straight with it with a buy. Our first buy today is Ben Chilwell. This is a player who I really want in my team right now. If there's one player I want the most out of any player in the Premier League right now that I don't have right now, it is Ben Chilwell. Not just for the short term, but for the long term as well. So it's really great to see that Chilwell is in the form and confidence of his life. And aside from the goals, you can really see what a great FPL asset he is just by watching him. Always bombing forward, cutting into centre, occupying the space of an attacking midfielder or winger at times, despite the fact that he is a defender in FPL, really, isn't he? He's making those key passes in the dangerous areas and taking shots whenever he can. And his recent flurry of FPL points is kind of fully backed up by his performances when you watch him as well. And with each game and each performance, he looks more and more nailed on the Chelsea side. He looks more and more confident. You can see that the confidence is just running through his veins, and he is going to take that shot where before he might not necessarily take the shot. Now he backs himself to do it, and he's scoring goals as well. So looking really good. Is there going to be some rotation risk at some point? Absolutely yes. But a player in this kind of form is likely to continue playing. And you know, managers don't usually like to drop a player who is in such good form. So I do think he is going to stay in the side for now. He's kind of recognising that first choice left back for sure, and he's doing exactly what is required from him in that Chelsea side and making that Chelsea side a good team. And as always, he's a player who, when benched, he stays benched. He's not one of those players who if he is benched, he is going to come on for one of those nasty one-pointers. It's not going to happen. So if you're a Livramento owner, for example, you usually just leave Livramento on the bench. No problem if Chilwell is dropped, because you've got that ready-made replacement on your bench to just come in there straight away. So Chilwell owners, those of you who have Chilwell already, I'm very jealous of you. I really do wish I had gone for him, but I haven't so far. And for those of you who have an easy route to get to Chilwell, I would absolutely go for that. I'm really jealous of you guys too. So as long as you're not trading a genuinely really good defender for him, you know, I would definitely not think about trading out a Trent or a Cancelo. I'd maybe consider swapping out Reece James. It does depend if Azpilicueta is going to be available for the weekend. If Azpilicueta is available, then that actually might mean that James gets rotated, and maybe the move from James to Chilwell actually might be a good one. I don't know. We have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, I do think every transfer you use should be used to improve your squad, if you like. But Chilwell, what a player, and definitely one we want in our fantasy teams right now, right? Next buy is Phil Foden. Now, as a Phil Foden owner, I have to concede that the nature of the goals in that game against Brighton, but perhaps a little lucky. One goal kind of just bounced off him. The other goal could have easily been an own goal another day. But what wasn't lucky, however, was the performance from Foden against Brighton. In this game alone, he had 8 shots. all in the box, 2 big chances. He made 2 key passes as well, created 1 big chance. And that game was kind of just a continuation of the great form that Foden is showing right now. He's playing in a really advanced position, kind of as a striker, really. I mean, call it what it is. Is it a false 9 or is he just a striker? But he's getting plenty of those goal-scoring opportunities, and that's exactly, it's kind of to be expected, isn't it? We saw kind of earlier on in the season with Torres that when you play as the striker for Man City, you get hella opportunities to score. The great thing about Foden is that since his return from the sidelines, he does actually seem to be a crucial part of Man City's play, and we've kind of suspected for a long time that it's only a matter of time before Foden does fully complete his breakthrough and nails himself as one of City's main starting 11. And I think that's where we're at right now. And yes, there will be an occasional rotation, just as there is with anyone at City or Chelsea or whoever, but especially with Torres now out, Jesus similarly, fully converted to a winger, Sterling not available. I think we're going to see Foden as that main central striker for some weeks, and if he continues to play well, there's really no reason to believe that he won't become first choice in this position for the rest of the season. Guys, we may have finally found our Man City attacker, and his name is Phil Foden. On to some sells. We're going to go for Alan Saint-Maximin. Chelsea up next. That's a pretty good reason to sell on its own, right? But in all seriousness, Saint-Max has been a little bit disappointing, right? A lot of people brought him in a few game weeks ago, but since game week 7, he's only managed 4 shots in the 3 games. Just 1 on target and just 1 key pass as well. And this was in some pretty decent fixtures as well. I think we all expected a little bit more from him in terms of FPL output, but it wasn't to be, and it doesn't look like that's going to change. Don't get me wrong, I do love him as a player, just not really for FPL right now, especially now that Wilson's back. Wilson's going to be the star man in terms of goal scoring, isn't he? The difficulty with ASM being listed as a forward is that he's not really a true goal scorer, and that's where the forwards get their points. When they score goals, they get bonus points, so that's where you get the decent scores from forwards. But if Saint-Maximin's not going to be scoring, then I don't know, that's not really what we want. We kind of the best we're kind of hoping for now is a goal every maybe 4 or 5 games, maybe a couple of assists. That's not the big points that we want for a 6.8 million player, is it? Especially when there's these cheaper players that are doing much better, who look really much better, have this potential to do better as well. Then we've got the fixtures: Chelsea, Brighton, Brentford and Arsenal next. That's really not a great run. Then they play Norwich and Burnley, but then it's back to Leicester, Liverpool and City. So from a fixtures point of view, I'm struggling to find a decent run that would make him worth holding on for. At least with Wilson, he can score against anyone, but ASM is just not that kind of player. So I think he has to be a sell. Hwang or Tony, these guys could make great replacements, I think. Luke Shaw is next on the sell list, is your weekly reminder to sell Luke Shaw. Manchester United's defence is just looking shambolic right now. I can't really see them turning that around too quickly. And I think the performances of Shaw has been part of that. So much so that I can actually kind of potentially see him getting dropped or rotated with Tellez until he finds his mojo. We know he's a good player, but he needs to find that mojo again. If the manager isn't going to change, if Ollie stays at the club, and it doesn't look like he is going to change, it doesn't look like Ollie's going to stay, United's squad is going to have to change. The lineup is going to have to change, right? The players will have to change. And United's squad is big enough that they may be able to address the problems that way by making a few rotations here and there. And even if Shaw does continue to play, and there's every chance that he does, the form is bad, the fixtures are bad, but more importantly, there are just so many desirable defenders in his price bracket. I mean, think Cancelo, Chilwell, James, Rudiger maybe. These are big scoring players, scoring big points right now, and it looks like they're great options for the long term as well. So you can't just see it as having a player that isn't getting you points. Shaw is a player who's not getting you points, but also you are missing out. You are occupying a slot that could be a player that will get you some very nice points. So you're kind of double missing out in a way. And if you leave it too long, Shaw's price is going to keep dropping lower, whilst all these other guys, their prices are going to continue to rise. And at a certain point, it's going to become harder and harder and harder to make that move. So guys, I really do think you should get it done. On to some keeps. We've got Cristiano Ronaldo. Kind of on the other end of the Manchester United pitch, we have the GOAT, though I guess it's pretty hard for me to argue right now that he is the GOAT at this present moment, right? You guys are probably a little surprised that I'm suggesting to keep Ronaldo. I do like to keep you on your toes with some of these shouts, but seriously, guys, if I had Ronaldo in my team, I would be keeping him. Why? Because I don't know if you can do much better using one transfer. Who are the other striking options at his price point? Lukaku, injured. Vardy, potentially injured. Kane, unconvincing. Werner, injured. Aubameyang, unreliable. Firmino, generally speaking, not so good for FPL. So we can go down the list and talk about some cheaper players as well, Tony, Hwang. But at that stage, you're getting a player who is just clearly not as good as Ronaldo, I suppose. So I'm kind of a strong believer that every transfer you use should make your FPL team clearly better. If it's not really improving it by that much, then I don't know, maybe just roll the transfer. If your transfer has to make it very obvious that it is improving your team, and I can't really figure out a single direct Ronaldo replacement that does that, despite being incredibly frustrating to own as well, and definitely. No, don't get me wrong, Ronaldo's not worth his value. He is still probably better than anyone else available right now if money is no object. We have to remember that he had a super close goal disallowed versus Liverpool, really, really close. On another day, there was nothing, there was inches in it. It really was so close. On another day, that's a goal. He had a couple of other good chances as well in that game. So on another day, he hauls against a very good Liverpool team. So I don't know. I think that that if Liverpool were one of the toughest teams in the league, he almost did it. Then it was a little bit unlucky that he didn't get points, I suppose. And I do feel sorry for you, Ronaldo owners in a way. But we've got Spurs next. They are definitely not a tough defence. They are one of the worst defences in the league right now. With United kind of desperate to bounce back. Do I trust the United defence? No way. But can you see one of the world's best forwards scoring against a lacklustre Spurs? I don't know. Surely we're kind of seeing that, right? We can see that happening. So I would say, unless you're making a double transfer and using that Ronaldo money elsewhere immediately, that I can't really see a point in transferring him out, to be honest. So for that reason, he's got to be a keep for me. My next keep is Raphinha. It seems like so many people are jumping the gun on the Raphinha transfer out. Like, I do get it. A few low scores, injury problems, potentially out this game week. But I think you just have to keep him until at least the Leeds press conference. Marcelo Bielsa is always very upfront with the situation of his players. If Raphinha is unavailable, we will know. If he's available, we will know. If he's going to be a kind of a last-minute decision, we will know. It just seems crazy to me to be impatient right now when you could be wasting a really valuable transfer on removing one of the league's star players before his easiest game of the season versus Norwich here. You know that if Raphinha starts, he's got a great chance of hauling some points. Meanwhile, if you're wasting your free transfer, that might be a free transfer you might need to use elsewhere. I'm sure you guys are, fully aware of how many Doritos of death there are floating about right now. I don't know. I think we just need to figure out who's fit and who's not fit before we rush any transfer decisions. And that's certainly what I'm going to be doing. So, guys, if you can, forget about those price changes. Forget about getting those transfers done early. Let's show a little bit of patience and kind of keep Raphinha for a couple more days. I don't have Raphinha in my team. If it turns out that he is available and you have Raphinha, believe me, guys, I'm going to be so jealous of you guys. You're going to smash it with Raphinha. You really are. Just kind of fingers crossed that he is available for you. On to some avoids. We're going to go for Mikel Antonio. This is a bit of a weird one. I feel like Antonio is definitely a keep. Villa kind of haven't looked great in recent weeks. I do fancy Antonio to score against them. There is that idea that Antonio has a decent record against some of the bigger teams. But I look at some of these upcoming fixtures. Liverpool, Wolves away, City, Brighton, then Chelsea after that, all in a row. I'm really struggling to see Antonio outscoring some of the other guys. We know Antonio's a better player than your Hwangs and your Tonys, and I'll keep mentioning those guys, but those are kind of the guys that I'd be targeting right now in the forward positions. But the difference in fixture difficulty really is quite extreme. I think maybe a reason why so many people are buying Antonio right now is because there is not really much else going on in this price bracket. The limited forward options, the ones that we want are all a little bit cheaper. I'm a huge fan of price points, don't get me wrong, but I also don't think you should pick a player you don't actually want because he is conveniently priced. I may be totally wrong about this one, but the fixture run that Antonio has, it really couldn't be much worse if it tried. And I think you can find better value elsewhere right now. I think there are other options that you could go for as a new signing. Obviously, like I said, if you have Antonio, I would keep him. But if you're looking for a new signing, I think I would be looking elsewhere in terms of forwards. And, maybe revisit Antonio in a few weeks when his fixtures, even if they look 10% better in a few weeks, then that's going to be a more desirable time to buy him. And my final avoid is Gabriel Jesus. Again, I know a lot of people are keen to find that premium forward to bring into their teams, whether you're kind of trying to replace Vardy, Kane, Lukaku still, Ronaldo, whatever. I'm just really not convinced this is the one. So Jesus, he's playing in a right wing role at the moment and rotating quite heavily with Mahrez. In FPL terms, he's playing out of position, but in a negative way. He's not getting as many goal scoring opportunities as you'd hope for someone listed as a forward. And as you can kind of see by stats, even his creative numbers, which you probably assume would be quite good, the underlying numbers actually don't look great. Perhaps he's been a little bit lucky. Perhaps he's overperformed a little bit and could potentially be a little bit of a trap. I actually really liked Jesus last season when he was playing consistently and playing as the main central forward. That's kind of not the case anymore, and yet we still have to pay the same premium price for him. Foden, for example, is cheaper, better stats, plays as a central striker, gets that extra point for a goal and for a clean sheet as well. And whilst it may not be convenient to try and get Foden, maybe you just need to use 2 transfers and restructure your team a little bit. Either that or just keep whatever forwards you have, because there's not a lot going on at the moment in the forward category at the moment, and it would be a real shame to waste your transfer hopping to another kind of meh option. Forwards are really difficult right now to pin down as who we should be targeting, but I think there is a real danger of us falling into some traps by going for players that we don't actually want just because we're just trying to find someone, right? So just be careful out there, guys. So in summary, Chilwell and Foden are the 2 most desirable players in FPL right now, I would probably say. I think there's a scope to say that maybe you could take some hits to make sure we get the right players in. But firstly, I think we should wait for those injury updates from that long list of injuries, right? Once we know that, we can start planning our attack. Remember, the fixtures are important to look at too, guys. Raphinha and Bumo, players like that, we really do want to keep if that's possible. If you have a strong bench, guys, you're going to be in a really good position. Finally, avoid those players who you just be buying for the convenience, really. Especially if you don't actually want them. Make sure you're buying players you really do want. I think that makes a lot of sense. Well, at least a little bit of sense. But there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy what you saw today, please do leave a like and please do subscribe as well if you're new around here. Again, sorry I've had to move around the content a little bit. Obviously, yesterday was the usual buy, sell, keep, avoid day. Today is 100 experts video day. We're actually going to do my team selection video tomorrow on Thursday, and we're going to do the 100 experts video on Friday instead. So hopefully that's all right. Please do stay patient for that. But in another way, maybe that's a good thing, because the 100 experts data is going to be a little bit more up to date, perhaps a little bit more accurate as it's closer to that deadline. So hopefully that'll be a really good one, guys, and I'm actually really looking forward to making that one myself. So yeah, hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it too. But there we go, guys. Thank you again for watching. I will see you tomorrow. I'm wearing my glasses again for my team selection video, and yeah, I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.